So thanks so much for joining me on this spontaneous episode of the Untitled Interview Show. First of all, elephant in the room, explain the appearance.
You mean the 70s porn star meets like...
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not going to say the other word.
I'm sure we can find some appropriate pictures.
Yeah, no. So it's Movember. I'm not sure. I think you guys celebrate it here, right?
We do.
Yeah. So Australia, it's massive here. I'm pretty sure it's massive. You grow a Mo for fundraising for men's health. So it's prostate cancer, testicular cancer, mental health, suicide, all kinds of stuff. So do it every year to try and raise money. And yeah, it was going all right. I think we're halfway through the month.
Brilliant.
And yeah.
Nice. We'll send me the link afterwards and we'll put it on the...
Sounds good.
And if anyone wants to donate, then they can do so at the link below. So I wanted to... You've flown all the way in from Brisbane, Australia, just for this.
Yeah.
Which is
the
amazing.
whole reason I'm here.
Brilliant. And you have founded a company called Content Snare. Can you give me a little bit of background as to what Content Snare is and what it does?
Right. So the unique selling proposition or the elevator pitch is that we help web designers get content from their clients. I feel as a web designer that probably is all the explanation they need because they know that getting content from clients is a massive pain in the butt. Actually, what's your swearing policy here? Can I?
Yeah, do what you want.
I can say ass.
Yeah.
We'll start there and we'll work the way up.
Yeah.
So it's a massive pain in the ass to get content, and we help them automate that process, make it easier for their clients, and automate the follow-ups, and eventually we'll help them get it into the website as well. That's not there yet, but it's coming.
Wicked. I mean, I know from myself. I ran a design agency for, I don't know, 10 years or so, give or take. And yeah, what's so funny is the reason you started your company is the very reason that I ended up shutting mine down, which was that exact problem. It was getting the content out of the clients, and it slowed everything down. Yeah. It's an absolute, it is a pain in the ass. That's putting it really, really, really politely. It's a complete disaster, and it can actually derail a lot of projects. I mean, there's a lot that, they might agree the deal, they give you the deposit, and then they just don't give you the content. You actually can't get anywhere. You almost fall out before you've done anything in some cases. So have you sort of tackled any tricks, or is the solution just literally provide use a system like Content Snare to get this, or is there anything else that you can, any processes or anything? Yeah,
for sure. And I think it's important to note that just using Content Snare isn't a magic bullet either, right? You still need certain structures and processes within that. And we've actually found totally side benefit that we didn't realize is that the system has helped some of our clients, like Imogen is one of our first ever users, and it helped her come up with structure for, made her think through and go, okay, I need these pieces, rather than going, I need your content. That's what a lot of website people do, or designers, or videographers even. They just say, give me your script, or there's this blank page problem. I don't know if you've ever, if you are writing a blog post and you go and write your 12 different headlines, you break it down, it makes it very easy to fill it out. Once you've got that structure, it's the same thing. If you go to a client and go, give me your content, they're not going to know what the hell you're talking about. You might say, what homepage, about page. They still don't know. You need to break it down into, we're going to put your header, and it needs a headline and a background image, and then we're going to have some services. We just want 3 blurbs about, these 3 main sections. And by breaking it down into a good structure, it gives them something to work from and makes it very easy for them. So that was kind of like a hidden benefit that some of our users have found.
I think one thing that's really interesting actually is that an important thing to remember is that your clients aren't copywriters. Well, they might be, but they're not. It's not their thing. It's really not their thing. I mean, one of the last websites we ever did before we sort of moved into software and obviously inevitably sort of turned out with better proposals was this flooring company. And I said to him, give us your content. And this guy came out, his homepage content was literally, there's a town called Hurstpierpoint, it's just up the road. And it's literally, it could have, if there was a tourist website for Hurstpierpoint, it would have been the perfect homepage content for the town. It was nothing to do with flooring whatsoever. But that's what this guy came up with, and he didn't know any better. And it was, I mean, I kind of wish I'd learnt the lesson about 7.5 years earlier than this, but it was a really startling kind of like, oh, right, these guys don't know. Like, why would he know? Mm-hmm. He lays floors, you know, or they shoot video, or the client is a makeup artist, or whatever. I mean, they're all different things. And I think, like exactly as you say, providing that structure is massive. So, I mean, how would you... I mean, let's just go with websites because it's simple. This does obviously expand out into video or any kind of service. There's that, you know, bit where you have to give the content. But how would you then break it down or sort of ask the clients if they had to provide you with, say, a bit of homepage content, a bit of about content, and like services information? I mean, how would you break that down to make it as easy for the client as possible?
Well, it really depends on processes. So this is the thing, is Content Snare sort of fits into people's processes very differently. Well, even if you're not using Content Snare, everyone wants to do their own thing, right? Like, you know, if you're getting a copywriter involved, the client might not even be writing their copy. So there might be this process of you telling the copywriter how much you need, and then they provide it, you approve it, and the client approves it, you know. So it's kind of hard, but standard... I think one of the best ways is to use wireframes to start with, even if it's on a piece of paper, like not even using some special wireframe tool, just so you can break down the sections, right? So, and it's different for every website, right? Like, you know, tourism site is going to be a bit different than a flooring site. I mean, the standard homepage is, you know, if you're doing a hero header, they're pretty much all the same, right? You've got a headline, maybe a subhead, a button maybe with some text on it, and a background image. Like, that's really it. Sometimes you might offset that and put an opt-in in there, or like a lead capture box or a contact form or something. So you might need to get those as well. And that's kind of the way we structured it, is in sections. So like a row on a website. So a header might just be a section. So that's kind of in line with the way a lot of website builders work. Like, page builders with WordPress and Squarespace and that, you know, you're dropping in like a row, they call it, and then you're putting things in that row. So that's kind of what we did. We said sections, and then in that section you might have 3 services with a headline and a blurb each or something. So it's kind of hard to say this is what they should all be like, but there are some like generic sections, I guess, and that we've tried to build in as templates so people can drag in, similar to what you guys do on Better Proposals, right? Like, you've got your pre-built templates that people can use, but people are still going to want to customize to whatever their industry or how they work.
So thinking about like the process of, you know, selling a website, for instance, and at what point do you think it makes sense to ask for the content? I mean, because you've got that sort of honeymoon period where you've just won the job, and the last thing you kind of want to do is like sucker punch them with like, now bitch, get to work. You know, it's not really what you want to be doing. There's sort of that nice period of like, okay, cool, now we're going to do some nice fancy stuff. I mean, would you just go straight in and say, right, you know, these are your responsibilities, this is what you've got to get to us, whatever, or would you sort of let that settle a little bit and then...
Yeah, again, it's one of these things that everyone does differently, but I'll tell you what we used to do in our agency, and sort of, you said sucker punch, and that's the key, is not having it as a sucker punch, warming them up to that, like letting them know that they're going to have to do content at some point, and it's probably going to be upfront. So we used to say we don't even start jobs until we've got all the content ready to go. We don't even queue it up in the build process. So once they paid their deposit and had the content, then it got in line. And I'm like, right now, that might be next week. If you got the content to me now, we would start next week. But if you get the content to me in 3 months, I don't know how many websites we're going to have in the queue at that point. So you might be waiting even longer. And that was usually enough to, you know, it gets them into gear pretty quick. But we actually had it in our proposals. This literally says this is one of the things they signed to when they use Better Proposals and sign one of our things is that, exactly that we will prioritize their job when we have content, you know, and sometimes there's like the informal emails around it where it's like, yeah, we'll start it in 2 weeks on the proviso that we've got content by X date. And you need to give deadlines. That's, you know, the only way to do it. I know some designers do design first thing where they actually design the entire website with lorem ipsum content. And then their deadline is, that's it. Now I've done my part. If you haven't got content to me yet, I'm charging you for this website. You can put the content in yourself, or we can come back and do it. I don't tend to agree with that. It is easy to get paid, but I tend not to agree with it because content is the most important thing on a website that does the selling, not making it look pretty.
Yeah, I agree. I'm trying to think what we used to do. Probably a mix of both, actually, which is probably why it didn't work very well. But yeah, I'm pretty sure we probably did a mix of both or alternated between the two. We definitely had that whole idea of putting the content on them. And there was a couple of times where I think we were working with, there were UK businesses, but they were foreign. And their English was not their first language. So writing the content was something that they knew they were not going to do. And it was interesting because we actually took the process of writing the content, and it was the quickest website we ever built.
Yep.
And that was when I first sort of heard of Content Snare, I was like, oh, I would do an agency so differently if I had this thing, because I could have built that all into the process of doing everything. And taking the content off them is one thing they did not have to do. And I think it really showed me how much it can slow down a project if you get it wrong. And like you say, there's many different ways to skin a cat, you know.
Yeah.
Do you have that phrase in Australia?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I guess it comes up a fair bit.
But yeah, there's many different ways to go about doing it. And I think if you get it wrong, it can wreck a project.
Yeah, and it's funny because when we first came up with the concept of Content Snare, we were interviewing local designers and just to sort of see what kind of things they were saying around content. And you said that's why you got out. I remember, I think it's still in our main header. It made me want to leave the industry or something. It's like, something like that. There were so many quotes where people were like, it literally makes me want to leave the industry. Like, I hate this so much. Or at my agency, every single project was backed up because of content. You know, it's like, it's so crazy that so many people have this problem.
It's the thing.
Yeah.
It is the thing. The design part is easy. Selling it is easy. They're not easy things to do. But in comparison, they're easy. It's the one thing that slows it all down. So like anything that anybody can do to speed that up or provide a process or whatever. And I mean, I know that we found from our sort of work with Better Proposals and people working with us and things like that, is that actually the act of having a system that does their proposals for them is the bit that makes them go, oh, I should probably rethink that. I should rewrite the content for it. I should redesign it. I should put some effort in there.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe it's shiny object syndrome. Maybe it's a bit of that. But sometimes it's just enough to get people to think about it. And if you can just get people to think about the importance of something like getting the content out of your client, that's all that, that's all that matters. And, I think Content Snare's done your mission is brilliant, and what you're actually doing already, it's so early on, is absolutely brilliant. And I would say to anybody that's running a web design business, like, you at least owe it yourself to go and actually just sign up and have a quick go. I mean, I know you didn't do this so that you could promote Content Snare or whatever, but it's something that actually it matters to me, because it's the reason that we just stopped doing our agency. And I actually really liked running our agency. It was just that bit that, it just maybe ended up hating it, really.
Yeah,
so
I know exactly what you're talking about, man. We had the same issues in ours, and such a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it is.
So the more processes you can put in, exactly what you said. As soon as you start thinking about something like proposals, you go, oh yeah, we're going to need to do, doing this properly with this tool. And you just have to do that with each piece of your business, right? Like whether it's even referrals and putting in a process for following up after a client's done with you to get testimonials and referrals. Like, that's another piece you need to focus on. But yeah, I think both good tools to help.
Yeah, no, it's good. I'm so glad we did this as well, because it is a majorly important thing. And if even just a couple of people looked at this and went, oh yeah, I should probably look at that, then it's been absolutely more than worth the effort.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for doing it.
Cheers, Adam.
Take care.